Hey everybody, it's Moose here, and I'm back again with another interview. Today I'm here with MCU Collector 24. He is an action figure reviewer, and he reviews all sorts of stuff like Marvel Legends, and yeah, I mean he mostly reviews Marvel Legends, but he's been getting more and more subs every day. So thanks for joining me, man. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Look forward to it.
All right, awesome. So, uh, essentially, one of the first questions I wanted to ask is I noticed that I did a little research and a lot of stuff from your videos that you also are besides collecting Marvel Legends, you also are a collector of Hot Wheels. Um, so I was wondering, so like, is there a possible that you wanted to review, or have you reviewed any Hot Toys stuff in the future, in the past, or have you is it something that you're just like, oh, this is just so much as a hobby?
So I have done some Hot Toys. I have done a couple of reviews on Hot Toys. It's kind of tough, right? The Hot Toys are kind of delicate, and I'm scared to do something wrong with them or break them in some kind of way. Or the only Hot Toys that I'm really collecting are going to be the MCU Spider-Man Hot Toys,
Right.
and those suits are pretty delicate, so I don't want to do a whole lot of movement around. And then to be honest with you, I don't get a whole lot of views on the Hot Toys anyway. So,
Mm-hmm.
when I get them, I kind of will, but it's not my main go-to thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get that. Especially since I have a couple Hot Toys myself. I one of them is the Iron Spider, and that figure is great.
Nice.
It's a great figure. Yeah, I got that for an early birthday present from my mom. That was really nice of her. Um,
Wow. Very cool.
yeah, definitely. And I guess fun fact: one of the first Hot Toys I collected was the Hot Toys Wolverine from the Wolverine.
Okay.
Yeah, and then yeah,
The
and
one
this.
in the all black suit.
Yep, that one.
Oh, that'd be a nice one to have.
Oh yeah, that one's really nice. I got it at my comic book shop, and because my comic book shop sells some Hot Toys, and I only have three, which is that one, the Spider Man, and the first Guardians of the Galaxy Star Lord.
Ooh, that'd be a good one too.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, they have a big variety, but most of it's stuff from the MCU, stuff from like the Netflix shows, stuff from like the DC movies, stuff like that. So I also wanted to ask, you occasionally when you do your unboxings, you have your kids involved. Your kids are helping you out with your unboxings. Has your lifestyle of collecting figures has that impacted your kids? And do you think that other people who are parents, who also collect, uh, do you feel like that will like impact your kids? Do you think that will like make them want to be collectors as well, or be interested in the idea of comic books, or what do you think? What do you think about that?
That's a really good question. So a couple of things. My son is kind of into, or he was into action figures. My girls were too, and then that girl stopped, and then my son kind of stopped. And just recently, he kind of like started wanting to get more and more action figures again. And they say it's for their collection, but with kids, they play with their toys,
Right.
right? So I don't so much as consider it collecting, whereas they just have a liking for these action figures. So that's kind of the stage that my son is in right now,
Mm-hmm.
where he's really starting to like them again and want to play with more and get more. My girls really not so much. They the whole pop culture thing. They enjoy all of that. They love the Marvel movies and things like that. But as far as collecting, it's not really getting hasn't really affected them so much. My younger daughter is really into Stranger Things.
Mm.
So she has a couple of things like right now on the table in the room, she's got kind of the Stranger Things little setup going. It looks pretty cool. It's pretty nice. But other than that, not a whole lot. But they do like to get involved sometimes, whether it's the toy hunts or the unboxing. But mostly my son. But I think that kind of goes along with the territory, right?
Yeah.
Action figures and things like that tends to gravitate more towards boys than girls.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just really like how you integrate parts, some of your members of your family into your unboxings. I feel like this gives a sense of like your this collection is also kind of like your family's collection as well. You know, like I seem I get the idea. They also seem to like your collection. I would assume.
My son does. The girls, they probably they think it's cool, but they don't. They don't like go in and look at the action figures and really care about it that much, to be honest with you. But my son does. He thinks it's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that you have that connection with your family and your son, and I think that's great. So I guess also what also I like about your reviews is I noticed this is something small that you change your backgrounds every time, and I guess that's something I've noticed a lot when watching a lot of your videos for the past couple of weeks to prepare for this, and so what makes you how did you come up with your setup? Like, did you say, like, when it comes to reviewing your figures, because like everybody has a different setup, everybody has, you know, a different way of reviewing, so how did you come up with your version of reviewing action figures?
That's a good question. You know, there's so many action figure reviewers, and there's only so many things that you could do to really be different, I guess. So I've changed the way I've reviewed and the setup and everything multiple times since I started this. I forget what it is, 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago now, or whatever it is. So it's just about space-wise, how things can work, how you can get lighting right, but background. So I live in an apartment, so I'm kind of limited in space and where I can do my review, how I can do my reviews. So in terms of like a background, so I have one small space for my review station, and the background thing that, you know, that was a fairly recent thing over the last few months, where, you know, you just, you know, get poster board and put one there, and then I hate having the same kind of look over and over again in the background. So that's why, you know, I wanted to change it up, and you know, I get tired of one color. I'm like, hey man, let me change this up. I'll move to a different color. And then one of the things that I've done for a while is when I have a full Marvel Legends wave, is I put the figures in the background. So as I'm reviewing the wave, going through the figures, so when I'm on one figure, the previous figure you'll see already in the background. Once I get to the Build-A-Figure, they're all in the background. Right. I don't want to say that that's a signature thing that I've done, but it's something that I've always done, and I'm kind of sticking with it. You know, I've had a few people comment about how they like the way that is. They could see that it's something different. I've also had some where it's like, well, okay, the focusing of the camera keeps wanting to focus on what you have in the background. So, you know, I keep that in mind. But that's something that, you know, I've done for a while and that I would like to keep. But the colors of the backgrounds, just, you know, I get tired of it and want to switch it up.
Yeah, I feel like that adds a little bit of flair to your reviews as well, and I think it's a cool little detail that I can appreciate, like, because that's something you have to do constantly with every like new series you review, and that's something I just think that's really cool about your channel and something about you, and so speaking of a series, is also you review a lot of different Marvel Legends. You've been just pumping them out nonstop, and I just wanted to ask. So far, what has been your favorite wave that you reviewed?
Oh man, that's a tough one. You know, there's so many figures. I don't have. The unfortunate thing is I don't usually get a whole lot of time to really stop and enjoy a wave, because Hasbro seems to release them right on top of each other. So it's pretty tough. When it comes to waves, the movie figures, as an MCU collector, that grab my attention more so. So anytime there's a wave that has movie figures in it, I'm always going to like those waves more, simply out of bias, and I will admit to that, because it's the MCU that got me into collecting, that got me into all these things. You know, I watched the X-Men cartoon, the Spider-Man cartoon, the animated series when I was a kid. I loved it. That's where that was my first experience with Marvel and everything. So, and the movies really drew me into collecting. So that's why those waves, those figures will always be my quote unquote favorites. Um, but it's the balance. So any of the movie figures I'm always going to like more. Spider-Man waves I tend to like more as well. But X-Men waves really have been killing it. So I never like to pick a particular favorite or anything, except movie figures will always be better for me.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah, no, yeah, it makes sense. I actually am a big fan of the MCU line, and I remember when Iron Man first came out, and this is when I started first collecting. Was when well, if I go further back than that, I think it was around when Spider-Man classics and X-Men classics were coming out. Is when I first started. Like, I was young, but that's when I started like wanting to buy figures, and because I used to watch a lot of reviews and stuff when I was younger, and then also I started collecting when Iron Man 1 came out, and the first set of Iron Man figures, like the Ironmonger, the concept War Machine, like those figures. I collected those, and so I've been collecting ever since. And so I love the X-Men waves. The X-Men waves have been great. And so does the Spider-Man stuff, and the new Avengers wave with the Smart Hulk was good. I think so far Hasbro's been doing a great job, and as soon as that the MCU Thor Lebowski wave came on pre-order, I pre-ordered that so quick. I was so excited for that wave.
Yeah, that wave is going to be very high on my list because it's an all movie wave. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen very often. In fact, it's only happened previous with Black Panther Wave 2. So those waves I absolutely love when it's every single figure is a movie figure. Yeah, that I'm all in for that. I'm a completist at this point. Mm-hmm. But yeah, those ones definitely are high on a list for me, because all movie figures, I love it.
Yeah, me too. And I also wanted to ask. So we mentioned earlier when talking about Hot Toys. You don't review Hot Toys very often, but what would you say other brands like say like Mezco, you review like Mezco and stuff like that? Like, is there any other brands that you want to review, like maybe like NECA, some NECA figures, or some stuff like Marvel Select from Diamond Select Toys, or is there any sorts of brands that you're like, man, I really want to review this, but I just don't have the time?
No, actually, it's kind of it's for me, it's more cool action figures, but I just don't want to collect them. Okay. It's NECA. They make some great figures. Mezco makes some great figures. Marvel Select, Diamond Select, all these other toy companies, they all make great figures. Some not as much, but I'm a Marvel Legends guy. I can't collect lines. Like, I have friends that collect every single line you can think of, and I do it. Marvel Legends is difficult enough. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's just because I don't have a desire to collect those things. So in terms of review, it's just not something that I would do. I'm not going to go out and buy an action figure that I don't have any interest in to review, because the review wouldn't be good, for one. So I don't do it. Every now and then I do throw in a Star Wars figure review, just because, I might get something that's new, might get it early on and think, hey, you know what, let me do a review, or this figure looks pretty awesome and I have it in my possession. I might do it. But other than that, I stick to Marvel Legends, MCU Mezco figures, MCU Spider-Man figures. So whether it's some kind of Mezco or actual imports like SH Figuarts, Mafex, then I'll do those ones. I just did a Nendoroid Iron Spider figure because my mission is to kind of collect all the articulated Spider-Man figures. So, the Nendoroid, the little 3-4 inch figure that hardly anybody probably collects, And I got that figure, I had to review it because it's MCU Spider-Man is my favorite. So.
Oh yeah, really enjoyed I enjoy the M2 Spider-Man personally, and I mean I just love Spider-Man in general. Like similar to you, I have a whole shelf of Marvel Legends just dedicated to Spider-Man. And
Nice.
yeah, I can see it in the back. Yeah,
Right behind me, right?
Yeah,
I had well, it's missing some of the legends because I had taken them out. They're on my review station right now, but this is my ode to Spider-Man Detolf right here.
yeah. If my camera was on, you would see mine. Like mine is just a small wall shelf, and it's just all of, like the different versions of Spider-Man. One of my most favorite ones I have is the Toy Biz like Steve Ditko version of the first appearance Spider-Man.
Sentinel series.
Yep.
Yeah. I've come close to buying that figure, but I have a rule, a no Toy Biz rule.
Yeah, you mentioned
I don't collect any Toy Biz figures at all.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Like that was actually going to be my next question. Actually, is why the no Toy Biz rule?
Okay, so when I started collecting, I've had a few different rules. My rules list has kind of changed over the years. When I first started collecting, it was movie figures only, and then it branched out to Spider-Man figures only, like actual Peter Parker Spider-Man or Spider-Verse Spider characters.
Mm-hmm.
Then it kind of branched out into entire Spider-Man waves, full waves. Then it branched out to all waves, everything. Just get it all. So my rules have changed, but the one constant rule has always been no Toy Biz figures. The reason for that is because there's already enough Hasbro figures. I don't need any more when adding in Toy Biz. And then on top of that, and you're gonna like this, I don't like Toy Biz figures. They kind of suck. But
really,
I get it, right? Hasbro will never beat Toy Biz in attention to paint detail. Okay, awesome, cool, great. The Toy Biz figures still don't look any better, in my opinion. Whether you have all that crazy paint detail and shadow and wash and everything, okay, the figure still doesn't look good. The aesthetics of the figure is very important to me. I like a figure to look good.
Mm-hmm.
Only has a handful that I would say look good.
Yeah, I can agree with that too, because I honestly I think that.
Hasbro did that too.
Oh, what were you saying?
Sure.
Yeah, I honestly I think that there's some Toy Biz figures that I think that don't look the best, and also I think even when it comes to paint detail, and also when it comes to articulation, because some of it there's a such thing as too much of a good thing, and I think that sometimes with Toy Biz they have too much articulation, if that makes any sense.
It does, because in this cases, toe articulation, I would say, is not really necessary. Finger articulation really isn't necessary, because what happens is the articulation, it really takes away from the aesthetic of the figure. So Toy Biz figure with their articulators have these massive fingers to the ends, and it just doesn't look right to me. So for me, it was a waste. It just wasn't necessary.
Yeah, that's
then their face sculpts all look terrible.
Yeah. I think they kind of lacked a bit on the face sculpts too.
Yeah,
I think the biggest example when people think of is like Rogue. Like Rogue is a big one.
Oh God, but I also get it at the time. So in Toy Biz, however long ago, what was that, pre 2008, 2006, or whatever,
2006,
whatever year it was. Yeah, so I get it at that time. The technology that was available then to produce the figures at the quality and whatever, it just wasn't there, or they didn't put the time in. I would like to think that maybe it wasn't it wasn't there. I always like to think back to when I was a kid and I would have wrestling figures, so WWE wrestling figures.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the early stuff, those head sculpts were what the hell? These things look bad, but then they started having some quality stuff. So, you know, Toy Biz back in then, okay, I get it back then, but then like you had like Jakks Pacific that was doing some decent stuff with the wrestling figures, you know, back then. So what Toy Biz was doing, I don't know. Maybe there was a reason that those figures were only $7.99 back then, or whatever the cost was. But, you know, that's a debate for a whole nother day, right?
Oh yeah,
because you're gonna get the diehard Toy Biz collectors that are just gonna be like Toy Biz all day, every day. Hasbro's got nothing on them. Then you'll have those like me that'll say Hasbro beats them out every single time.
Yeah, and that is a whole debate of, and I remember I got into this whole debate with one of my friends who also collects. Is his defense to Toy Biz is mostly just, I think, because of the Build-A-Figures. I think the Build-A-Figures is like his big defense.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Toy Biz gets a point, 1 point.
Okay, yeah, they get 1 point, sure.
1 point. They've had some decent Build-A-Figures. Sentinel, that's a cool Build-A-Figure. It would have been better if they used a different design. Okay, Galactus, a little bit small. Marvel Universe one killed it. Mojo looks okay. MODOK is cool. Onslaught, just maybe the design choice on Onslaught is what kills that one for me. But I mean, yeah, okay, they had good Build-A-Figures. Okay.
Yeah, I mean Hasbro's had some good ones. Like there was, I think the one I always wanted the most when I was younger was Fing Fang Foom. That was the one I always wanted, and that's like, and I've seen it and messed with it before in cons, and it's a great figure. Like, man, it's incredible.
Yeah, that is the absolute best Build-A-Figure there is. There's nothing that's gonna top that. No movie figure can top that Build-A-Figure. And I hate to say that, but yeah, we'll never get another Build-A-Figure of that caliber again.
Yeah. There's no way. Like I feel like that. As much as people give crap to Hasbro, what they were doing with a lot of their figures when they first got the rights, I think there's been a couple of highlights, and Fing Fang Foom is definitely a highlight.
Yeah, and and that was at a time when the figures were kind of crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were still using hip ball joints, whatever. Just so, there were some decent ones around then, but most of them sucked even then.
Yeah, the worst one that I used to have was I forgot which Build-A-Figure it was, but it was, I think it was Banshee.
Oof, Banshee. I actually have that figure. That's the Annihilus Build-A-Figure wave.
Yep, okay. Yeah, you're right.
But you know what? Emma Frost in that wave is kind of bad too.
Oh yeah, I have that one. I have that Emma Frost. Yeah, I have both versions for some reason. I don't know why. But
I do too.
Okay, well, at least we can be twinsies in that regard.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask, essentially, so you've asked, you mentioned about, like you collecting a lot of the movie figures and stuff like that, but do you have any comic book figures that you also enjoy too?
Yeah, so the Spider-Man ones are going to be my favorite because Spider-Man's my guy. So any of the classic Spider-Man characters, especially ones that were in the animated series, I love. So like Doc Ock, Lizard, Build-A-Figure, Shocker is one of my favorites, believe it or not. I just love the way that figure looks. I remember as a kid having the old figure from the animated series, the old Toy Biz figure. And I love that Shocker figure for some reason. I don't know why. So those figures are amongst my favorite. So all the Spider-Man ones are all great. And then the Jim Lee X-Men style X-Men figures, those are amongst my favorite too. So, when we look at comics, it's going to be Spider-Man and X-Men that are really going to take it for me. Anything beyond that, Black Panther, Thor, Avengers. They're cool. Some of those figures are fantastic, but nothing will beat out the special place to my heart that is the Spider-Man and X-Men.
Mm-hmm. I actually have a few Spider-Man villains. I have a whole shelf with Spider-Man villains. I just love Spider-Man villains like roster. It's
Yeah.
like
He's got the best rogues gallery ever, right?
oh yeah, definitely. I think that
Yeah.
he has the most like memorable villains and the most fun villains and the most just the best villains in general.
Oh,
Uh,
he absolutely does. Oh yeah.
yeah. So and fun fact, you mentioned Shocker. I think you might already know this, but I think the other day, yesterday, it was Shocker Day.
Really?
Yeah, there was an official day for Shocker, and the actual
Wow.
the voice actor for Shocker and Spider-Man PS4, he followed a few of my friends who made posts about the Shocker because it was Shocker Day yesterday. I found
No
out,
kidding. I didn't know that.
yeah, it was crazy. I just found out about it like yesterday, and I'm like, no way, this is crazy that Shocker has its own day. Like that's and I think he has his own day because yesterday was the first day he first debuted. I think that's when I looked it up.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that too, but yeah, I learned something new. Um,
Yeah.
what would you also have to say in terms of movie figures? Um, or they've been producing a lot of movie figures over the years, and they had like different ways of doing the figures when it comes to like the very first Avengers wave, all the way to now with Endgame. What would you have to say so far? Is just name you can name as many as you want, but name is like your favorite movie figures that they've made.
From which point on?
Just like from I guess from let's say like from the very first time they made the Iron Man figures all the way to now. They can name
Oh, oh
any point
man.
from any point. So like for example for me, one of my favorites, and it might be just because of nostalgia, because I love the first Iron Man. I still enjoy the Ironmonger figure. I still enjoy that figure a bit. And currently, my favorite would have to be the Endgame Captain America. Um, I just,
That's a fantastic figure.
mhm,
He's definitely would be on my list of top MCU figures for sure.
mhm. Yeah, and I just want to say this. I personally just want to thank you because you put barcodes. If you didn't do the barcode stuff that you do for every figure you post, I never would have found it. Like it's
Oh, nice. I'm glad that helps. I've had a lot of people comment saying, "Why do you post the barcode?" I'm like, some people like to use it. I mean, you can actually take your phone with the picture of the barcode and have somebody at a store scan that barcode right from your phone, right?
yeah.
I've done it myself, even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I started doing that because you started posting the barcodes, and yeah, it's helped a ton, man. Like I just think
Oh,
that's
good. I'm glad it does.
yeah. The last thing I got was the with the help of your barcodes was the Spider-Man Homecoming Spider-Man and MJ 2 pack.
Nice. Yeah, that thing's disappeared, man. I've only seen it one other time, and I need to get a second set, and I can't find it anywhere now.
Oh yeah, like it's crazy, just like how big it got. Like it's weird. Like you'll have certain select figures that get picked out that like people would just like search and hunt for. I felt like when the Endgame Cap came out, it kind of came out of nowhere. And so when it
It
first
did.
started hitting, yeah, it started hitting shelves and everything. People were searching up and down, left and right for it. Like yeah, I was getting my friends to try and help me. Lived in different states to try and help me to find it. Yeah,
Yeah, so I got to bring this up about that Endgame Captain America. So Hasbro officially announced it in the morning. That same night, it was found somewhere in the Midwest. So that's what was that. And so that right there built up the hype about it. But not only that, is from months prior to that, everyone on Instagram would comment and ask, "Are we getting the Endgame Captain America figure? Are we getting Iron Man Mark 85? Keep in mind, up until Endgame, nobody wanted another Captain America figure.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden, Endgame is out. Everybody wants Iron Man and Captain America. They didn't care about anybody else.
Oh yeah.
Just those two figures. So that right there was also a good indication that Captain America was going to be a difficult one because everybody wanted that version, and it turned out to be the best Captain America figure that we got ever. So it worked out. But I had to mention that because everyone was asking me nonstop, over and over. I would have a post about one thing, it has nothing to do with Captain America or Iron Man, and just question after question. Are we getting Iron Man Mark 85? Are we getting Worthy Cap? Like, I don't know, guys. I have no idea. I don't have special insider information from Hasbro to know. So, but just one of those things.
Yeah.
But back to your earlier question about the movie figures and some of the ones that stand out is that Captain America is a big standout. The Mark 85 Iron Man will be a huge. That figure was amazing looking at Comic-Con. So that one will be a hard one to find, I think, because everyone's going to want that. Maybe a little bit easier because it's not a Walmart exclusive figure.
Mm-hmm.
But that'll be another one. Ronan the Accuser, I love that figure. I think it came out great. That's probably, I think that one's a pretty underrated figure that not a lot of people wanted to get or passed up on. They can't get over the whole headgear, shoulder thing.
Oh, yeah.
But remember, in the movie, Ronan does not turn his head, so it makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
What else was a good one? There's been so many that, it's hard to point out some of them. Scourge is a great one. That's a new one. Ghost is a great one. I'm trying to think. All the newer ones are fresh in my mind, but looking back at some of the older figures, that Thor figure from the Amazon 4-pack at the time was a fantastic figure. Then we got the 2-pack with Sif, and that one ended up being a little bit better. But at the time, that was a fantastic one that I was very excited to add to my collection. So there's been a lot of good ones over the years, but a lot of the newer stuff, of course, is going to be better and fresher in my mind.
Yeah. A few ones that I personally really like is the 3-pack Infinity War, Doctor Strange, and the Thanos. Both of those I think are good. And I still also really like the 2014 Build-A-Figure Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. I really like that Groot.
Yeah, very good figure too.
I really like that Groot. And I know some people have some couple issues with it, but I really like the Smart Hulk. The Smart Hulk Build-A-Figure is great too.
Yeah, you know what? Those that have issues with it may not have the figure, because if you have that figure in hand, you'll know that it's actually a really good figure. People say he has a huge forehead. Okay, so it's still a great looking head sculpt. If you have it in hand, a lot of people, they may not see it or have the entire figure built in. But once you do, then you could really get a feel for the overall figure and see what it's really all about. And I think for a lot of people, they don't have that opportunity, or they haven't built it yet or anything. They haven't seen it together in hand. So I think that kind of changes a lot of perspective as well.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've seen it, but there is I really like the Far From Home Spidey, but they did some modifications where I learned it from D-Star Toy Reviews. Have you heard of him?
I have not.
So D-Star, he did a video where he just did a small modification to the Spider-Man, where he just took a black marker and tiny pen black marker and drew lines on the Spider-Man, and it just makes the whole figure pop.
Yeah, so I've seen some other customs do the same thing, where they dull down the red too. They put some kind of paint over it so the red's not as shiny, and then they do the black lines. So my take on these Spider-Man figures is I'm weird, I guess. So my Far From Home Spider-Man figure I really like. For me, I don't do any kind of customizations or modifications to any of my figures. I for the most part, don't even kit bash and use accessories from one figure onto another one. It's not my thing. So for that particular figure, I like. So I like it if either the web lines are painted on and not sculpted, or the web lines are sculpted and not painted. Because you have the sculpted web lines and then painted, for just never comes out looking like it should. The customizers that are doing it are doing better, but on a mass-produced figure, when Hasbro tries to do that, it just doesn't look right to me. So, like the Homecoming figure with the gray lines, it looks a little odd to me and a little off. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 figure and the Green Goblin wave, that first, Spider-Man Infinite series wave, same thing. It's something about it just doesn't look right to me, and I think it's in the way they have to apply the paint, because it's not easy for them to just easily do the lines when it's sculpted in there. But then you look at like Pizza Spidey, and those lines look great because they're not they're not in this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. No, I completely understand the whole concept of that. A customizer, they're doing it one figure, but when you have like a whole, like you said, mass producing, the figures, not all the lines are not gonna look right, and yeah, so I get it. No, you're not. That's not a weird take on that. I actually think that makes a lot of sense. So, I guess I have I have one last question here, and my last question essentially, and I ask this to everybody, is essentially, what do you want to say to your fan base? What do you want to say to like your fans, your subscribers, like people who've been following you, maybe people who follow you ever since you first started, or just people who just started now, just found you?
It's been an incredible journey. When I first started, I was thinking, why not? I can let me show off some of these figures, and you know what? It was hard. Like you have to try and get all these things right, and the first wave of clocks, not well, that was the first figure, but the Warlock wave, and immediately people started subscribing, and I was thinking, wow, this is pretty great. And I've had some subscribers that continually comment those, just some they're so I every subscriber recognizes a lot of people. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up. Thank you to those that hit the thumbs down every single time, because I know that there are some that do that, and that's okay. It just, thank you for the support and everything, because I did it just because, it was something to do. I think it was the natural progression with collecting, So I'm like, why not give it a shot? And then it's just kind of been growing and growing, and this year has just been so massive. It's been an incredible experience. Since March, since I had that first Endgame wave, the channel grew and skyrocketed from there. And wow, I'm still amazed by it. If I forget exactly where I am, I think I'm approaching 15,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I am just blown away. I just hit 17,000 on Instagram, and it's just sharing the passion of collecting, and just kind of voicing my opinion on some of these things, and showing you guys these things, and just sharing, and people have been very receptive to it, and open-minded. I just can't thank everyone enough. I'm truly blessed and amazed by it all, and have met some pretty awesome people. I just can't thank everyone enough.
Yeah, you definitely deserve it, man. You really do. I could I started watching a couple of your first videos you posted, and you just improved a lot, man. I know this. I don't know. You've come a long way, and I don't know if this sounds weird or not, but I'm just proud of you. I'm proud of you, dude. I really am. So
thank you. When I first started, I was using my iPhone, and I used my iPhone for a solid year plus, and it was always a one take video kind of thing. You open the package, here's the figure, everything, and stuff like that. And I've always wanted to try and and do better and do the best that I could. Now, I am no professional by any means, so I don't have a lot of video editing knowledge, nor do I have the time to do these super fancy edits and things like that. Maybe one day, far off, who knows? But one thing that I've really tried to be better at is to give you guys good video quality. Starting from the iPhone, getting a DSLR camera that at the time I was like, oh, this is going to be so, have an autofocus. I'm like, oh my God. And then getting to the camera that I have now, which is another DSLR that has autofocus. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the big thing, is I want to make sure that you guys have a good look at these figures. And, I couldn't do that back then. Hopefully that's what's coming across in the videos now, is you got a really good look at the figure, and don't mind me rambling on for 15 to 20 minutes when a figure video should be maybe 8 minutes or whatever. But thank you, because that's one thing that I've really wanted to make sure that I was doing for everyone, was to make sure that I'm giving you guys some good quality stuff. So the editing software that I use now, I like, because it's very simple and easy for me to use. In terms of effects and things like that, that's a tough one, but I try to get all the videos together so it's all seamless and everything. But the video quality was the most important thing for me to be able to do for everyone.
Yeah, and I think you're doing so far. You've just been killing it. You've been really knocking it out the park. And I just can't wait to see more of the stuff you post in the future, man. Like I'm there. I'm there every video. I've only been watching you for about like 7 months now, but still, like I've been loving what you've been doing, man. Like I really, really do.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So so everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed the interview, and please check out MCU Collector. Check him out. Like his channel, his Instagram, his Facebook, everything will be in the description. Go like his pages, go sub to him. Like he definitely deserves it. So thanks again, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in. Trying to hear some things from me. I appreciate the opportunity. So thank you.
Oh, of course. Again, thanks again. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.